but the 15 million include our land borders. So that includes, they come for various different reasons. Our travelers from Mozambique and those places, they come across to shop. They come 3 or 4 or 5 times a month, so it does push the number. From our long-haul source markets, India is number 7 for us. So from our air markets, people that need to fly into the country, India is number 7. But what is great for us, between 2009 and 2013, we doubled up numbers out of India to South Africa. So exponentially, the growth we're seeing in India is absolutely massive. So if you add the growth with the fact that Indians buy the perfect tourism activity, plus then what's helping us at the moment is the rand devalued quite badly against the rupee. So our Indian clients have got a saving of about 22%. So this year they're buying more than what they bought last year for less, simply because of currency exchange. So what we've seen there, which was really, really, so you buying more than what you did last year. Now what we've seen, instead of people buying, our average length of stay for a holiday was 12 nights. So instead of people saying, oh, I've got a great saving and I'm going to bank that, what we've seen is people are saying, instead of going for 12 nights, I'm now going for 13 and a half nights. So our length of stay has gone up quite dramatically, which is great for us because the money stays in the country. People are saying, I'm going to stay that little bit longer with the saving. And average package price as well, what we found and how we had to change the packaging and the pricing. We have vegetarian and vegan foods mainstream in South Africa. We have over 300 Indian restaurants. A lot of our hotels have got Indian chefs. Jain vegetarian food in South Africa is available not only in Indian restaurants, but also in French restaurants and Italian restaurants. We've done a huge big retraining of our chefs specifically for our Indian market. So what we found when we look at packaging and selling with our joint marketing partners, because as a board we don't sell, the trade that's currently in that room, they sell, is to exclude lunch and dinner, because suddenly for Indians traveling, even if they only want Indian food, there are so many options, and they're going, we actually want to go and explore on our own. And it made a huge difference even in our self-drive numbers, that people feel they can eat everywhere. So currently, if you look at a 10-day package, you include your flights, your accommodation, your breakfast, all your activities, and your transfer. So you exclude lunch, you exclude dinner, and you exclude activities that are very individual specific, like a bungee jump. So we include Table Mountain because everybody wants to do that, but when it comes to bungee jumping, we're gonna 3-star sell for about $1 lakh. 4-star sell for about $1.25. 10 days, 3-star sell for just over $1 lakh. 4-star sell for $1.25, and 5-star sell for just over $1.50. So it's well priced for our Indian market. We've got a whole lot of lift going into South Africa. We don't have any direct flights, but we've got so many via options available to our Indian travelers. That is the current one that's been sold in the metros, yeah. That is, we've just started a joint marketing on that. There are various options. There's a lot of people. Most of them will cover Cape Town and the Garden Route, which is where you get all the whale watching and the sharks and the Kango caves. Johannesburg, and then, of course, all of them include a safari option. You cannot go to South Africa and not have a safari. But activities, so we include Table Mountain, we include going to see the penguins, but we don't include shark cage diving or bungee jumping, because that's so people specific. The one we can quite, you can pay extra for that, so you can still do it. We did at one stage think of including it because we've got so many Indian travelers that do it, but it is kind of a hard thing, when you say to a 60-year-old traveler, we expect you to jump off a bridge. So those things that could go either way, we excluded out of it. But it was very great for us, that our Indian travelers are saying they want to be in charge of their own meals, because it means they're comfortable eating in South Africa. We've also seen an upsurge in self-drive, and we've now changed the law to allow our Indian travelers, Indian driver's license accepted in South Africa, maximum of 90 days, and we've seen a huge amount of our Indian travelers taking up the self-drive option. It's interesting, they've taken it up to such an extent that Hindi is now one of the languages available on the GPS in South Africa. After that, you need an international license, but it's 90 days consecutively. So if you rent a car for 80 days and you go to Vic Falls and you come back into the country, we started one again. What are the activities that's available and in what combinations they need to get done, and what do we buy in Hyderabad specifically? What are the things that we find Indian travelers are buying in South Africa that doesn't get sold to them in India, so we need to start including that. For example, whale watching. Whale watching, we find a lot of Indians buying it in South Africa, but it doesn't get sold in India. So we'll include that. And then, of course, the easiest way to explain this is we are like Big Bazaar this morning. So we say, here's the ingredients. We've already done the quality check for you, and we've already put it in aisle. So there's an adventure aisle and a family aisle. But at the end of the day, the tour operators need to package themselves because they know how much spices to add. You know, they know their client. They know for this client, we include the bungee jump and the shark cage dive. And for this client, they're a little bit more relaxed. We only want to include hot air balloon. Maximum numbers are still coming out of Bombay and Delhi. We do know that the number is slightly skewed because what happens is if a company books a MICE group, you know, an office that's in Bombay and Delhi, the numbers go to that office. And we know it's not, you know, there's no way Axis Banks have got 300 employees in Bombay that's coming on the incentive. So it is skewed towards them. What we look at various things. You know, in the airport interviews, we specifically ask people where they're from. So we have a better idea. But we also look at the growth in the areas. You know, we made a huge commitment. With Learn SA 1, we were only in 12 cities. Learn SA 2, we were in 14 cities. Learn SA 3, we were in 30 cities. So we also look at the growth that we get in particular cities after we've worked in them, you know. Like here, we had a massive growth from 1 to 4% of our total leisure market. So we'll keep coming back. We'll keep coming back with new things. But it's also how we learn. You know, a lot of time people think we do these exchanges so that we can train our Indian staff, and now we see them as our sales force. But it's not only that. It's also what we learn when we're here. You know, it's like I said, 5 years ago it was made for India and South Africa. Now it's made for Hyderabad in South Africa. You know, it's there's specific requests that we get out of this market that we don't get from other parts in India. And those are the things that we need to come back with next year and say, you asked for this last year. Because the work that you see now that happens in that room, because the commercials, the African suppliers that are on the roadshow with us, that's happening now. So the work you see now would be the work that you would see active in the travel agents in October only. Because we launch our big campaign, Winter Proteas Tour. We're very excited about that in October. So when the Proteas arrive, we break our big leisure campaign. The Proteas. So when our cricket side arrive in October, we're using them to help us break our campaign. So what we do now, you know, the worst thing you can do as a tourism board is break a campaign and people walk into the trade and say, oh, I see South Africa's advertising this, I want it, and the trade goes. What we've done is we've changed the way that we count, and when you change the way you collect data, you have to go through 3 different audits, and they're still busy with that. We should have it by September. They're busy with the last one now, because it's not only the 14 figure, they have to work it back so that we can have a comparison. You know, our Home Affairs Minister that looks after immigration was out last week. And he made 2 commitments to our Indian travelers. The one is he said the visa process will be faster. Currently it's 5 days, so he said we'll bring that down. And he was talking about a multiple entry visa for tourists for 3 years. Now, 50% of our business out of India is repeat. If we get those 2 things, by 2020, we'll be the biggest source market for South Africa. We have the perfect product for our Indian travelers. And the fact that when they go there, they feel safe, they can eat, people speak English.